In this video, I'll give you all the tips you need to know about traveling to Bogota, how to get there, when to go, the climate there is very different from the rest of Colombia, how to use your money, what are the best tours, how to buy the tours, where to stay, cheap hotels, and lots of great tips so you can make the most out of your trip to Colombia. So stay tuned, guys. Don't forget to give us a like because that's very important. Subscribe to the channel and buckle up. Hey guys, for those who don't know me, I'm Gabriel Lorenzi, creator of the Grupo Dicas, the largest travel content network in the world, and today we're gonna talk about Bogota, Colombia's main city, and the stopping point for many travelers who want to go to Cartagena, San Andres, or any other destination there. So there will be lots of great tips for you to make the most of what this giant city has to offer. An important tip that I like to give right at the start, guys, is that people don't have this idea. Colombia, everyone talks about. Colombia is very hot. It's a hot tropical place close to the equator. Yes, most of the destinations there are very hot. For example, Cartagena, San Andres are beach destinations in the Colombian Caribbean. Now, Bogota is at a very high altitude and it's a cold city. So go prepared, take pants, a jacket, because the biggest problem I see people having, and I don't want you to have, it's thinking that Colombia is all about heat. Just taking shorts and tank tops, arriving in Bogota and being cold, right? Because the climate there is cooler than Cartagena and San Andres. Apart from that, it's good all year round. As it's close to the equator, the season in Bogota means you can go there in any month of the year. Now, Cartagena and San Andres and those other beach destinations, try to avoid them. Prioritize the months between December and April, which are the driest, the ones with the least rain. The others may rain a lot, but it's very hot there. How many days to stay in Bogota? That depends on how many days you have in the rest of your trip. I honestly think that Cartagena and San Andres are much nicer cities than Bogota for you to spend more days in. But as you have to stop in Bogota to go to Cartagena and San Andres, you have to fly to Bogota and then fly to one of these cities. I was going to say if you have 10 days, for example, spend 2 in Bogota. You can see all the tourist attractions in Bogota. They're very concentrated. You can enjoy the historical part of the city for a whole day. On the other day, you can visit the Sol Cathedral, which I'm going to talk about here. It's a beautiful, incredible, and surreal sight. And then you can move on to these destinations that I think are really cool, and they do deserve at least 4 days of travel so that you can get the most out of them. But if you have a lot of days and you want to do a 15 or 20-day trip to Colombia, then you can easily allocate 5 or 6 days to Bogota, guys. It's really easy for you to divide your time there. But safety. Is it a safe place in general, guys? Colombia, the 3 destinations we think are pretty safe, right? Bogota, Cartagena, and San Andres. Very safe. Of course, you have to be vigilant just like anywhere else in the world. There may be some pickpockets, which there are in Brazil, for example, in Europe, and in many tourist places, especially in Bogota, which is a big city and has a lot of traffic. So just be aware and walk carefully. But when it comes to security, they've really stepped up security in this tourist destination, and it's very peaceful. In Cartagena, we just felt a bit uncomfortable with people trying to sell you things and being very invasive, forcing you to look at things, handicrafts, these little things. So be prepared. If you have a picture, don't ask anyone to take your picture. That they'll offer you something and then they'll demand money in return. So just be aware of that. But in terms of safety, of feeling safe, we found Colombia to be a very nice and peaceful country. So you can go there and enjoy with peace of mind. How to get to Bogota. Bogota has an international airport that receives the most flights from countries all over the world. So of course, there may be a direct flight from your country, from your city, from Sao Paulo, where we use it to live. There are several direct flights that take 5 hours, 5 hours and 20, depending on where you live. For example, closer up, you may be able to find cheaper and faster flights too. It all depends where you live. Where to stay in Bogota? There's a very nice area for those staying 1 or 2 days, La Candelaria, which is the historic center, because you're already close to everything. You leave your hotel, you can walk around, you can explore the whole city, you can enjoy this tourist and historic part of Bogota more intensely. There are fewer hotels available, less choice, but it's a way of optimizing your trip for a few days. This link, guys, that I have has all the links. We use it to make our trips, to organize everything, the best places we know, all the cheapest possible. Then there's this map link which will open you up to a very good hotel booking website. It's the biggest in the world, I'm sure you know it, and it's where you always find the best prices. The cheap hotels we stayed in, good and cheap. I'll also give you the hotels in all the cities, all described, guys, the website to buy tickets and tours, the cheapest cell phone chip, travel insurance for half the price, all the items there for you to organize your entire trip to Colombia, spending as little as possible on everything, guys. So save this link, use it, because inside it the links are already automatically discounted. So use the page, sit down with your computer later and take it easy, but it's going to be a guide for you to plan your entire trip. And another option for accommodation for those staying longer, about 4 or 5 days, I really like the Chicó and Chapinero area, which are next to each other. I'll put a little map for you to see. It's a bit far from the center, but it's a more beautiful area with more hotel options, even better in cheaper hotels than in the center. It's a very nice area in the evening where you can enjoy good restaurants, and there's a very nice shopping center there, so it's a more pleasant option if you want to stay longer. So stick with these two options. And a tip, guys, research the prices, put in the date of your trip, use the link below, because if you see a good option in one of the other, you will also go for the price. And how do you get around? Guys, Bogota is a big city, right? But the tourist and historical sites are more concentrated, so if you stay in a good location, you have quick access to the main tourist attractions. You do almost everything on foot. Whatever you can do on foot, you can take a cab or an Uber. Uber isn't regulated there, but it does exist. It's another form of legislation, so at the airport you can't get it, but during the city, in the middle of the city, you can get it. Works well, we used it. Or there are cabs, so you choose one of the options. San Andres is the only one that doesn't have Uber, right? Cartagena and Bogota have Uber, so the tips are use it a lot, walk around, make sure you don't get in the way, walk around the more tourist areas, do your research, but you can do a lot of foot. If you need to take a cab or an Uber back to your hotel, great, it's not expensive. Colombia is very affordable. There are buses that do take people to places, but I think it's a bit complicated. You can get lost, it's not as easy as it looks, but you can do it. If you want to save a lot of money, you can also try to find these options in Colombia. And a very good tip for those arriving at the airport for any of Colombia's cities is to use a transfer. Transfers are much better. They're cars that you pay for in advance. You pay less than a cab. You won't be scammed. We've been scammed in Colombia and Argentina. As soon as the cab goes from the airport to the hotel arrives, unfortunately it's quite common, they charge you 3 or 4 times the price. So you pay a fixed amount for the transfer. It's cheaper and it's safe. The person is accredited. Companies that have accreditation on the official website will already be there waiting for you with that little sign that they have. They'll help you with your bags, take you straight to your hotel. At least you arrive safely at your hotel, and then you can start your journey. Below you see the website for tickets, tours and excursions. It also sells transfers from all the airports in Colombia to the hotel. Check it out, as we always use it. We've bought everything there and it's always been a great and cheap experience, guys. Now the main question on everyone's lips, how do I get my money there? How do you buy Colombian pesos? There are tips on how to save a lot of money, right? So let's go. The currency usage there is the Colombian peso. Very few places accept the dollar, so go with the Colombian peso, which is more guaranteed. And nowadays, there's a much more advantageous and cheaper way, guys, which are global digital accounts. If you don't already have one, do some research. These are accounts that you open in less than 5 minutes, super easy, digital, through the app with just your ID. You don't pay for opening the account, you don't pay monthly maintenance fees, anything like that, and you can create an account in dollars. With this digital dollar account, you can top it up in dollars and use it anywhere in the world. You ask for your physical card. It's just any account, like a bank account with your physical card, so you can use it all over the world. You load it with dollars and you can use it in any currency, and it converts automatically, so it ends up being much cheaper, but a lot cheaper, right? It's a huge savings. And why? The dollar you buy is the commercial dollar, not the tourist dollar, which is a more expensive dollar and is charged at exchange houses and on credit cards. It would even be the same as the tourist Colombian peso. You pay as if it were the commercial Colombian peso. The conversion is very good, and the IOF is 1.1% on this card. If you swipe the credit card, it's 5.2, 5.1% IOF. In short, it's much cheaper. Do one and you save money. I'll leave the link below as well. This account that we have today, which I think is very good, the link for you to download the app, it's super fast, and the discount coupon we have with them gives you $20 depending on the first shipment. So open an account, make a nice shipment of $500, $600 within the first 15 days if you can, and then you also order a physical card so that it arrives home quickly, and then you can travel peacefully and you won't have any problems with the exchange rate. And an extra tip, I always like to have cash on me for anything if the card doesn't work. This card makes it possible for you to withdraw money for the cash machine, so you can get there at Bogotá airport or any other city. You go there and withdraw Colombian pesos with it, the local currency, and you get a better rate. And now, before we get into the tours, here are two items that are very important when traveling internationally: a cell phone SIM card and travel insurance. The SIM card, can you buy cheaper ones in Colombia? Yes, if you get there, look for a store, buy it, install it, you can get better prices. Yes, it's cheaper, but we didn't have good experiences with. We tried to do this in both Argentina and Colombia. You have to go to the place, to the mall, wait in line to be seen, get attended, install it. There was a problem in Argentina. We didn't have anyone to call, so we found it a bit complicated. It wasn't worth it, because those hours of travel you're spending are worth money because you've paid to be there. You're paying for hotel, airfare, everything. So we thought it was a bill that wasn't worth it in the end, so we opted to pay a little more and buy a SIM card beforehand in our country, which is an international SIM card that you travel with. When you get there, put it in and you can use the internet without any problems. I'll also leave the links to the SIM card below. Take a look. It's a very good SIM card. You can install it virtually in the newest cell phones. You don't need to receive the SIM card at home. It's super easy, super practical. Take a look. It's worth it. And international travel insurance, for those of you who don't know, it's extremely important anywhere in the world. For Europe, it's mandatory. It's so important, but for Colombia, it's not. But we recommend it, and it's much cheaper than people think. Sometimes $3 or $4 you can get good insurance per day that will cover you for more than $30,000 in medical costs. Guys, it can happen, right? It happened to us once. In all the traveling we do, sometimes it can happen at some point, going to the doctor, getting sick, being hospitalized, twisting a foot or a hand. So be prepared, because consultations are very expensive. I'll leave you links below to a travel insurance comparator. It compares insurance with all the insurers and shows you the cheapest prices. It's the cheapest place to go, so have a look. And now let's move on to the tours and things to do in Bogotá. I'm going to talk very quickly, okay, so that the video doesn't get too long. There's some more research, but at least you know what these main tours are. The ideal place to start is La Candelaria, which is the historic downtown area I mentioned it. If you only have a few days to stay, this is where you'll find most of the sites and places you need to see in Bogotá. The walls are all painted. There are artists, they've revitalized it. It's a very cultural place. There are lots of restaurants. It has a very colonial style. You see those very old houses. They've kept them. It's very nice how they've been preserved. You see some that have balconies built into the front of the house, which used it to mean that the families were richer, had more power. Everything had a meaning. The streets have symbols. Do some research. There's a lot of history there. One tip I'd give you is to take the free tour. These are free tours that some companies run around the cities. There's a link to it down here on the tickets and tours website, so check it out. It's free, right? You buy the free tour, then you go on a tour with a guide who will explain everything to you for a few hours. You get to know everything, and then at the end you give a tip. People always give a tip to the guide, but it's free and you get an overview of the city. It's nice to get to know a bit of the history on the first day. And then right there in this neighborhood you also find Plaza de Bolívar, which is the heart of Bogotá. It's a gigantic square that holds up to 55,000 people when there are events there. And it's there that you find the Palace of Justice, which is very beautiful, the Metropolitan Basilica, Cathedral, the Capitol, and the Congress Building. These are very important buildings with a whole history behind them, and it's worth paying them a visit and taking some pictures there. And for those of you who have a problem with pigeons, get ready, because it's one of those squares that has more pigeons than people, right? People keep feeding them, everything. So just to give you a heads up so you can understand more or less what the place is like. And there are some really nice churches to see there. There's the Cathedral Primada, which was the first church in the city. It's also in Plaza de Bolivar. And there's also the Chapel of Santa Isabel, which is one of the 12 the temple and holds various things, remains of people from Colombia's history, which is very cool and well worth a visit too. Another great place to visit is the Puerta Falsa restaurant. It was the first restaurant in Colombia, the oldest restaurant. It's been there for over 200 years, so it's worth a visit. From the outside you think it's big, but inside it's not so big, right? It only accepted cash when we went and no cards. But check it out for the history, and if you can, or if you have time, get something to eat, get a drink or some coffee. It's really worth it, the experience. I think it's really a cool place. Another beautiful church, this one is really worth a visit, only from the front just to take some pictures, the Nuestra Señora del Carmen Church. It's a very cool and striking example of Colombia. You see that it has the colors red and white, which were the colors of the Brotherhood of Carmel. They are very eye-catching and stand out from the rest of the square. There's the Teatro Colón, which you can visit, but you have to buy a ticket. Many attractions in Bogotá are free, but there are something you have to buy. Take a look at the ticket website, which is very good. The prices are good. This one wasn't expensive. Then you can visit, take a tour. It's one of the 7 wonders of Colombia. Colombians are very fond of the Teatro Colón, the Botero Museum. The Botero Museum is the most important museum in Bogotá. It's the one in Colombia's most important artists, so you have to visit. There are hundreds of works by him and other artists too, which show a little of Colombia's art history. And the tour I think is the coolest, the one I liked the most, guys. You have to do it, is Cerro Monserrate. It's a very large hill there. You practically climb a mountain and you have an incredible view of the city. You can go up there either by cable car or funicular, which is like a streetcar, a small train, and the view is very beautiful. It's worth it, especially if you can catch the sunset. It's a very beautiful ride. And a separate day, guys, for the Salt Cathedral, which is a beautiful place. It's a bit far from the center, but there are several tours that pick you up at your hotel. This website has this tour and it was very good. They picked us up from our hotel, took us to the cathedral, did the whole tour and showed us the surrounding parks. It's a Salt Cathedral. It's surreal. There are only 3 in the world. 2 are in Europe. I can't remember if it's Germany or some other country, and 1 is in Colombia. It's a very cool cathedral. It's an experience unlike anything you ever seen in your life, guys. We totally think it's worth a visit. It's a very worthwhile place for you to enjoy the history. And that's it, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel because it really helps us a lot. And don't forget to watch the other videos from Colombia, which are very good. I'll leave a couple of others here so you can plan your trip there as well as possible, guys. So thank you very much and have nice trips.